Life was always a canvas of simple strokes for me. It's the absence of complexities that makes it more peaceful to live in and worthwhile at the same time. I am Agnes, a 29-year-old woman who found contentment in humility and hard work. I was wrapped in a bundle of love and care from my family growing up. But in just a snap, a girl came into our lives and caused havoc. My serenity shattered when my brother fell under the spell of an arrogant and scornful woman named Helen. She became my sister-in-law, a title that would soon carry far more weight than I could have imagined. She was a manipulative abuser, and my brother was her primary victim. Out of her jealousy towards me, she did everything to ruin what I had. Hence, this is the story of my life as a naive woman dragged into the dark web of manipulation and deception. I came from an affluent background. My family are well-known entrepreneurs who venture on various lines of restaurants in the country. Since I was young, my parents showered me with abundant love, care, and adoration. I had a healthy and bright childhood. My parents never failed to affirm and appreciate everything that I do. And with that, I could genuinely say I am loved and cherished. I was never neglected. But when I was 13, my father died, and at an early age, my brother became a millionaire. He inherited most of my father's wealth, including the company. A part of me was gone with my dad. He was my role model. He taught me to be strong, innovative, and resilient. But still, my mother filled the gaps that my father left. I still had joyful teenage and young adult years. However, she died a year after I graduated college. It was just me and my brother now. He served as my legal guardian, and we were happy at first. But the moment that he gained complete control of the company, he slowly drifted away from me. He immersed himself so much in the luxury and privilege of his inherited instant wealth. And because of that, he dated many girls, and he would sometimes get fooled and used. I talked to him about how his goodness and obliviousness could be taken advantage of, but he had a huge ego, and he never listened to me. Of course, I had anticipated that already. I know that he would not give a damn about whatever I say. And not before long, he brought home a woman called Helen. She introduced herself as the daughter of a car company CEO. She told us that she was from a high-class family and that she had had a privileged upbringing. I never thought someone could be this boastful. She was arrogant about always being used to luxury. However, something was off. She never talked about her parents' company or any reliable details of her background, and that alone bothered me. Their relationship grew so fast. It was swift and shocking because my brother immediately let her live in our house just a week after they started dating. I was the one who adjusted to the changes. I just wanted to support my brother and do whatever he wanted as long as it wouldn't cause us any harm. But as the months went by, I finally noticed how she always acted friendly whenever I was around and rude whenever I was not. Some of our maids told me she would talk badly about me and make them believe her narrative. She even said to them that I was disrespectful towards her when, in fact, we did not even have a decent interaction. When I heard about that, I started to be on my guard. I tried to protect myself from her, but the pain was inevitable. I always knew she hated me because she didn't even try to reach out and bond with me. Also, I have caught her rolling her eyes at me or making faces multiple times. One night, as I was walking past their room, I overheard her talking to my brother. They forgot to close the door, so I could hear every word. "Drake, I've been noticing some things about Agnes. I don't want to cause any drama, but she's been saying hurtful things about me behind my back." I moved closer and took a peek. My brother frowned. "Are you sure about that? Agnes has never been that kind of person. My sister is a sweet girl." She just scoffed as a response and rolled her eyes. I could see the annoyance in her face. I know, it's just that I overheard her talking to someone, and it hurt my feelings. I thought you should know. Her voice turned soft, the kind of tone you just couldn't help but sympathise with. She was such a fake. And then the worst thing happened. She started to cry, and my brother embraced her. It is very evident in her every sob that it was forced. That was the moment when I realised that this girl had totally manipulated my brother. After that, I tried to reach out to my brother, but he became so distant towards me that he wouldn't even talk to me the same way anymore. We were so close back then. We had the same interests and would speak to each other for hours. And now, whenever he interacts with me, he'd look around and check the surroundings to see if Helen was watching, and he would only speak to me when he absolutely had to. In conclusion, everything changed, and in a snap, my brother announced that he and Helen would soon be married. It felt like my world had scrambled. I feared for my life and for what would happen. And I was right. The moment she had our last name on paper, her superiority complex began to skyrocket. She became vocal and showy about her hatred towards me. She would ask me to do the laundry and run errands for her, and she would turn the tables every time, making me the bad guy. Finally, I decided that I had had enough. So I relocated for my job and moved to the province where I could work on community-level tasks for any company. And surprisingly, I found the love of my life there. Lance was a community volunteer and a construction worker at the same time. He has the heart of an advocate and philanthropist. He is so determined to help others. He didn't share much about himself, but I knew he was hard-working and humble. As months went by, we became close to each other. I got to know him more as we spent time together. He was from a humble background, which did not make him less of a person. I appreciated and accepted him for who he truly was. I was so fascinated with him, and eventually I fell in love. I didn't expect that he would feel the same. Then over time, we started dating. And after a year, we thought we were genuinely meant for each other and decided to get married. After my brother found out that I was marrying a man from a humble background, he was so angry. Honestly, I couldn't understand why. We were raised to be humble, so my brother had no reason to react that way. Perhaps his wife had influenced him. But still, I married Lance, despite the disagreement of my brother. Helen hated the fact that I married a low-born man. She insulted me for having bad taste in men, and even mocked me for being dumb. She never met my husband, and the only thought she had about him was that he was a construction worker. She thought it was a lowly job, but I knew it was noble, moral, and decent. Her mocking laughter at my marriage to Lance, a diligent construction worker, echoed in my ears. What was a respectable profession to me was trash in her eyes, a perspective she aimed to ingrain in the minds of my family. "You are indeed a disgrace to our family. The likes of you should be disowned. You are so ungrateful for dirtying the clean slate of your family's reputation." "You cannot dictate who I should love. You don't even have the right towards me." She slapped me and grabbed my hair. "I am the lady of this house. You don't have a wealthy surname anymore. I have it. And don't you dare disrespect me like that." I whimpered in pain as I felt my cheeks numbing. "I was born into this family, and you weren't. You are just an outsider." She slapped me again with raging eyes. "That's the point. You are disgracing your family because of your terrible choice. But oh well, what could we expect from a tasteless girl like you? Of course, nothing." I was so devastated hearing her say those words, but what's more heartbreaking was my brother standing in the corner, watching me suffer from his wife's abuse. It was evident that her influence spread like wildfire, fanning the flames of their rejection and discarding me like a piece of unwanted baggage. But Lance and I refused to buckle under the weight of their contempt. We stood firm, determined to forge our path to success. When my brother's birthday was approaching, he refused to invite me. He gave me a letter, but it contained a heartbreaking speech. He stated he was stripping me of my inheritance and disowning me as his sister. But I knew that my brother wasn't the one who wrote it. It may be his hand, but not his words. It was all his wife's manipulations. The brother I thought would shield me was now standing on her side, influenced and manipulated by her poisonous rhetoric. In their eyes, I was a pariah, disowned and branded a thief. And right after that, words circulated about me abusing and mistreating Helen. She made everyone believe that I was treating her as an enslaved person and that I slapped her, when in truth, it was the other way around. She was so manipulative. So, I finally took the courage to cut myself off from them. My husband and I continued our game plan of doing our best, and we forged it. We did, as Lance's sweat and perseverance transmuted a simple construction endeavour into a sprawling multi-million-dollar empire after a year. It was more than a business triumph. It was a testament to our unity, resilience, and the victory of love over adversity. Our success sprouted fast and stood firm. Amidst the shadows of our success, my family's empire was now steered by my brother, shackled by the chains of Helen's manipulation. The company that had once been our family's pride was now a puppet in her hands. She didn't just despise me, her very being radiated hatred towards me in every twisted smile and venomous glance. Fear crept into my heart, not just for myself, but for the power she wielded over my family. Then, amidst the storm she brewed, a lighthouse emerged. Lance's gentle nature, unwavering kindness, and the love he enveloped me in showed me a life unburdened by society's judgments. I was confident that my family saw the success that Lance and I forged as our business grew popular. One day, as we were dining out, Helen was in the same restaurant as us. She didn't see us, but we saw her. Lance stopped eating and gasped in shock. "I know her." My eyebrows frowned. "What do you mean?" He shook his head and continued eating. I was so curious about what he was supposed to say. The next day, a momentous event happened. From the first time I saw Helen, she had always been suspicious of me, and now I received the documents from the private investigator that I hired. Our company had connections, so I made use of that privilege. And then it was revealed that Helen's father did not own any car company, and the company itself did not exist. There was no information about her father either. Then her birthday came. It was grand, and she even invited me, for goodness sake. I knew she was just trying to make fun of me. And then my husband urged me to go because it was time to let them know what we could do. The moment we stepped into the venue, all eyes were on us. I even saw Helen smirking. I was about to sit when my husband decided to go to the front. I knew he was about to reveal to everyone what he said to me the other day. He took the mic, and the next thing he said shocked everyone. The revelation that Helen and Lars were cousins landed like a bombshell. The arrogance she paraded crumbled as the truth emerged. Her roots were in a humble family of farmers, a fact she had concealed, disowning her heritage for her thirst for social ascension. The gasps from the crowd echoed the shock that reverberated within her as her carefully woven lies collapsed around her. And guess what? The woman who had scoffed at others for their lack of status was leading a double life. And, for goodness sake, she had a boyfriend, oblivious to her betrayal, whom she convinced was working abroad. Her claims about her family's car company were mere fabrications, but the most stunning revelation was yet to come. Lance, the quiet pillar of strength, had been harbouring his secret. The construction company he worked for. His father actually owned it, and this was a facade he'd maintained for years. That was why the company grew so fast in such a short period. It turned out that Lance came from a wealthy family all this time. And as the revelations spiraled, Helen's web of lies and deceit began to unravel before a captivated audience. It wasn't revenge in the traditional sense that fueled us. The unveiling of her true nature, the spotlight cast upon her hostility, and the satisfaction of watching her arrogance crumble drove us. As for Lance and me, we stood united, triumphant not just because of her downfall, but because love and resilience had emerged victorious. The plot twists had turned the tale on its head. The scornful sister-in-law was exposed as a master of deception, and the humble construction worker, my husband, was revealed as a man of hidden stature. The story that started with mockery and rejection was now a testament to the strength of the human spirit, the power of love, and the unforeseen twists that life can bring. The room was shocked by Lance's words, hung like a thunderclap. The lavish celebration had transformed into a courtroom of truth, and Helen, once the queen of the evening, now stood as a shattered pretender. Everyone was staring at her, shocked at what the woman was capable of. Her arrogance had been her downfall, and her malicious schemes crumbled like a house of cards. As the audience struggled to comprehend the revelations, I saw something I had never glimpsed before: vulnerability in Helen's eyes. The mask of superiority slipped, and I saw the natural person beneath for the first time. A woman driven by insecurity, desperate for validation, and shackled by her web of lies. Helen, once the epitome of arrogance and entitlement, now stood humiliated among the very people she had sought to impress. Her lies had crumbled, her deceit had been exposed, and her reputation lay in tatters. The woman who had once looked down on others was now being looked down upon. As for Lance and me, we found ourselves at the centre of a different kind of attention. It wasn't about revenge, but vindication, proving that love and integrity could withstand even the most devious plots. Our story was no longer just a personal journey, but a tale of resilience, triumph, and the unexpected twists that life can throw our way. After that evening, nobody could trust Helen anymore. She lost most of her friends, and even my brother filed for divorce. He couldn't bear the embarrassment of being associated with such a liar. Helen's downfall wasn't just a spectacle, it was a lesson. It highlighted the danger of underestimating others, the repercussions of deceit, and the true strength of bonds forged in love. It was a reminder that their insecurities often drive those who mock and belittle others. Let us know your thoughts about Helen's downfall. If you enjoyed the story, please hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and like our videos.